The first and the most explosive news, which is also important from a point of view of ethics. Now, what has happened is that you might have heard about this entire saga last year that happened last year, which was with respect to a short seller by the name of Hindenburg Research. Now you can go onto their website and see the 2023 January disclosure that they had made, and the kind of profits that they've made because of this. Now, basically, what they do, or what a short seller does is that it researches at depth various companies, which are listed companies, and then if they find that this company is not working according to corporate ethics, and there are issues with respect to regulation of these particular entities, they try to sell the shares in advance and then buy them at a lower price. So this is called as shorting of the market, selling first and buying later. So and at times you earn enormous amount of profits. Windfall gains are earned when you are shorting a particular stock, but you also have huge amount of risk that you are taking. By the way, this particular research group earned around $22 million while maintaining this short on Adani Group. In around 180 crore rupees was earned by this particular group. So of course they have considerable amount of research that they do. They go into depth while researching on any particular company. Now, what had happened was, after this entire saga, the SEBI had launched its own investigation. This case went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that okay, let SEBI investigate the entire matter. And SEBI had also sent a show cause notice to Hindenburg Research with respect to explaining multiple things. But what has happened is that this particular company has hit back, and some people say that it's a hit job, others says that it's a genuine concern. What Hindenburg Research has said is that the chairperson, Madhvi Puri Buch. Now, this person is not from the civil services. She was a private citizen before 2017. She was in investment. She was in the investment field. Her husband is also into the field of finance. Now, both of them had considerable amount of exposure into certain companies in Singapore, and this company in Singapore had an investment into a company in Mauritius, and that company in Mauritius was allegedly involved in basically increasing the stock prices or stock manipulations of Adani. So it's an interlinked web of different companies that are there. One company controlling other company, and one company having a stake in another company. And but the important issue here is, and there are two important articles. The second article, as Bush digs heels in, key query: did she disclose fund linked to Adani? This is the more important question as compared to this particular news, but still we'll read both of them. So the key issue here is, and this is where ethics also is important with respect to ethics of in any kind of service like this, and also a broader issue that you can ask yourself, or in a question is, should a person who is not from civil services be appointed as a chairman of SEBI? Uh, you can bring that question to lateral entry as well, and you can also think of something called as revolving door policy. Research about what is this revolving door policy. This happens in US. It has also started happening in India as well now, where people from the corporate sector come to the government regulators, and then from government regulators they go back to the banking or the corporate sector. So is there a conflict of interest in that particular domain? Now, there are two major issues that needs to be seen. First is, did she let me see. Where is this? Uh, did she make complete disclosure to the government? So first question that needs to be asked is, was there complete disclosure that happened? And second, and the most important one, is that given that she had indirect or direct holdings and associations with the group, was did she rescue herself from while investigating this particular issue? Now, if you remember your constitution, you also have Article 14, which basically says that no person should be judged in a matter involving himself or herself. Now, this is basically rule of law. This is one of the tenets of rule of law. Now, in the past, what this article says, in the past people have rescued themselves from any kind of this thing any kind of area where there is conflict of interest, and this is something which is very important from the point of view of a regulator who has very important ramifications. So it's a very important this thing institution, and it should be beyond such kind of any kind of this thing allegations. So if it has to maintain its institutional integrity, this all of this should come out clean into the space, and whatever data should be made public should be there, that this all data was disclosed by the chairperson, and whether or not she rescued herself from these issues or not, from while investigation of this particular issue. The other thing is with respect to her husband is in was in a company called BlackRock. It's a major investment company, and they had I mean he she categorically is a champion for something called as REITs. Now you should also know what REITs are: real estate investment trusts. So there are different kinds of investment trusts. Real estate investment trusts are something like mutual funds. Please read about what are these REITs. Now, she has been championing REITs in India, and there are only handful of REITs, among which her husband's firm is one of the biggest. So again, there is again a conflict of interest on that aspect, which is being I mean argued by Hindelburg Research. So you now know both the sides of this, and then you can read it. Now another I mean now you will have this political slugfest that is happening now. In this political slugfest, the opposition wants the Bush to quit, and JPC to probe this entire issue. Now another thing that you should another news that you should have an idea about is the assessment of Paris. Now there is this interesting starting to this particular news, which is called as Paris syndrome. Now Paris syndrome is where tourists come to Paris with a lot of lofty hopes, expecting it to be a picture of perfection, but leave underwhelmed. And in fact, people have very high expectations of Paris, but actually once you go there, you'll feel that it doesn't live up to your expectation. And something similar would the Indian contingent feel, because their performance has been not that great as compared to the previous games, the Tokyo games, but more so, especially because after the Tokyo games we had a scheme which is called as TOPS, which talked about podium finishes in sports. Now in this particular Olympics, now we had spent around, and there are a number of people who've talked about this, that we've spent around, I think, 72 crore rupees for this TOPS target Olympic podium scheme, and despite that we've not lived up to the expectation. Yes, we have had some silver lining in terms of Manu Bhaskar as well as Neeraj Chopra. But apart from that, there are a number of areas where we have not done well. For example, even this person Abhinav, no, Prakash Padukone has talked about that we need to spend the money that we are spending very carefully, and money will only be an enabler, but ultimately these medals are won by sweat and by hard work. So consider badminton. We have not won anything on badminton, despite our players being really good, and at the last moment we've not performed well. Then even in boxing, the male boxing, we've not got anyone, and in Nikat Zareen, we saw that there was poor training leading up to the Olympics, and then Mirabai Chanu had a painful place exit as well. But apart from that, apart from shooting and certain 2 3 other sports, we have not been able to gain much prominence in any other sport. So this is where we need to introspect. We need the Indian Olympic Association to introspect, the sports authorities to introspect how to promote uh, other sports in the country. And finance is just one issue, and finance, by the way, is not just an issue with respect to India. Finance is also an issue with respect to other countries as well. I'll ask you to read another news. It's an interesting news what Olympians have to do. There is a website called as Only Fans, which is a semi porn website. Now a lot of athletes, this article says, a lot of athletes have to finance their entire campaign by posting pictures on this particular website. So think about sports as a global this thing as well, that people are not able to earn enough money. In fact, people say that they are able to earn more money from OnlyFans than their sponsors or their countries. And OnlyFans has been a big sponsor for their entire life. So this is the issue with respect to sport management in the in world. And you have certain players who earn millions, but the others who are not able to earn have to go through this route. And this despite the fact that the International Olympic Committee generates around 1.7 billion dollars per year, but they refuse to pay to the players. So this is where inequality again comes with respect to sporting culture. So read about these 2 3 news. Then coming to the first page again, there was another news, I think. Yes, that's about first page. uh, let's If you want to read, Modi releases 109 yielding high yielding climate resilient crops, but nothing more is there with respect to this. uh, yes, SEBI and the cloud, as I told you, that this particular research firm has made allegations that Bush and her husband had hidden stakes in the exact same obscure fund, offshore fund in Bermuda and Mauritius funds, found in the same complex nested structure used by Vinod Adani. Now Vinod Adani is the brother of the Adani Group's the promoter. So again, this is where there are issues. And then apart from that, during see this during the whole time, as SEBI, it was that Bush was in communication with the managers of the offshore funds and wrote to India on Infoline. The name has now been changed to something else, to redeem the units of the fund. During this time, she had interest in offshore consulting firm Agora, where she was there only 2 weeks after she was appointed at as SEBI, and then she transferred her shares to her husband. Now all of this is okay, but at the same point of time, in an institution like SEBI, all of this should have been part of the public disclosure, and this should have been there, I mean, out with the public as well. Now when the regulator, what must be asked is, when the regulator was investigating the allegations surrounding Adani Group, why were these disclosures not made public to the made up to the wider public? When members of parliament disclose all their assets, why are they are not disclosing it? And what is even more important is that when this entire saga was going in the Supreme Court, the market regulator had said that it had drawn a blank in its inquiry to determine the contributors. So it was not able to determine who are the contributors to the foreign portfolio investors who had invested in Adani Group. And apparently, the company in which they had invested as was one of the companies that had invested. So all of this is basically important, and we are the fourth largest stock exchange by market capitalization, and therefore we need to ring fence our regulator with stronger firewalls and a higher bar. So this is an important news. After Olympics, I've already covered this particular news, that we need to make sure that we give ourselves a better chance, just like we have given a better chance in hockey, where we have gone for back to back bronze prizes in hockey, and we've invested in that particular set of players, with Harmanpreet Singh as the captain, and then we have had a new coach, Craig Fulton, which we had given complete support. Similarly, we need to give support to other players, but at the same point of time, we need to also ask valid questions with respect to accountability and delivery by the sports person on which we have spent so much of taxpayers' money. So the second news that you need to read, then three neighborhood questions. Very, very important news, folks. Again, very important from the point of view of your national security and internal security as well. I've already told you that you should have a very good idea of the national security architecture of the country, especially read about what NSA is and what is National Security Council Secretariat. These are the heads that right now which take cares of the entire security architecture. We'll come to that. But what is more important here is that what has happened in the last 4 years. In the last 3 to 4 years, we've had three major surprises, and the government stood surprised as anyone else. But should these three have been surprises or not is a major question. The first is Taliban in 2021, when the president Ashraf Ghani had to flee from Taliban, had to flee from Afghanistan, and Taliban rule was established. And now we do not have any diplomatic relationship with Taliban, with the Afghanistan government as of now. Then in 2023, Mohammad Mizu was sworn in as the president of Maldives on an India Out campaign. Again, something which was adversarial to India. And now we have Sheikh Hasina, who was ousted now, and she's living in Delhi. But at the same point of time, we were taken with the surprise of the developments that happened within 2-3 days in Bangladesh. Now, this basically shows us that we need to have a wider consensus while making our policies, and it's heartening to know that the government followed up with an all-party meeting on August 6th, by the way, in which the Aam Aadmi Party was not called, despite having 11 MPs to the parliament. Now, having said that, you've had this open dialogue with opposition with respect to its approach, and how to deal with these external interests of India. At the same point of time, right now in India, the entire external paraphernalia is manned by the Indian Foreign Services, which basically have their postings, and they deal with the country's social, economic, and political trends. Especially people who are posted in the neighborhood countries are senior diplomats who have had extreme experience in negotiations. At the same point of time, in 1968, we had created research and analysis wing. It doesn't name it, but the external intelligence wing, the research and analysis wing, was made in 1968, which was the idea was to explore the subterranean the subterranean implications of whatever is happening in the neighborhood, to understand and have the intelligence network to understand what is happening in our neighborhood, and then understand and react accordingly. In fact, there's the interesting paper by one of the distinguished diplomats of India, S. Raghavan, who had also chaired the National Security Advisory Board and examined the additions made to Indian national security structure after 1998. Now we've had new challenges growing, which is one of the cyber challenges and the space challenges. But at the same point of time, the entire architecture had started changing after 1999 with the creation of National Security Council and the Strategic Policy Group, and most significantly the NSA. Now, the National Security Council Secretariat was basically established to service all these new structures. So this is the head structure, the National Security Council Secretariat. Now this houses the NSA. Now we have an additional NSA as well, who has been recently appointed, and we have 4 deputy NSAs. Now all these have critical areas where they basically give areas in foreign and security issues, and they have their own specializations. But at the same point of time, a question needs to be asked whether there is too much of overlap and there is no responsibility, or is there any tough fighting within the tough overlap within this structure, which is leading to the area where the information from the bottom is not reaching to the top mandate or not. So this is an important news. Then there is nothing very important with respect to this particular page. Vinesh's story is our story, and Vinesh's, it was not Vinesh's burden. Nothing that is important. And Buddhadev Bhattacharya, again, if you want to read about the background of the former chief minister, you can read this particular news. It's kind of a eulogy which is written by Prabhat Patnaik. More important news are also there. One is thousands leave South Gaza as Israel orders evacuation. So Israel has recently attacked a school building in Gaza, killing around 90 people, and it maintained that most of them were operators of Hamas. And you can read this. Now Ukraine has also started a military incursion into Russian soil, so now they are getting into the aggressor after what has happened in 2021 22. So this is the objective is unclear, but at the same point of time it is able to show to the Russian military establishment that they can also be aggressors as well. Then I've already talked about this particular news. Now let's talk about three important news. Let's talk about 3 important news. The first news is how Center Clean Plant Program plans to boost production of fruits. Now you already might know about something called as the fact that there is something called as, it's not written in the article, sanitary and phytosanitary norms, whereby all fruit articles and vegetables have to go through certain norms before they are exported. And number of our products are actually not accepted in number of countries because of them not meeting these phytosanitary norms. But apart from that, because we want higher quality of products, what we do is we import a lot of these mother plants, and then we try to nurture them in India to produce good quality, high quality products, fruits and vegetables for the Indian market and for the export market. But typically what needs to happen is that if you import a plant, then it has to be kept for quarantine for 2 years, and then make and then assess the any if the plant has any kind of disease, and then the products out of that plant can be then used for domestic and foreign export purposes. Now the center is planning to have this clean cut program where it has in 9 cities it will have these 9 clean plant centers, linked to these ICAR institutes, and each of these institutes will work on different kinds of things. For example, the Pune one will work on grapes. Bangalore will work on mango, guava, dragon fruit, avocado. Then you have Nagpur, which will work for citrus fruits like oranges. Then Bikaner again on citrus fruits, and then Srinagar on temperate fruits like apple, almond, walnut, berries. Mukteshwar will work on the entire region. It's not written. Then Solapur will work on pomegranate, and in East India you will work on the tropical and subtropical plants, and then you have Lucknow. So you have these 9 centers which will be developed, and how they will work is that the development of the 9 centers will provide disease diagnostics and therapeutics to create mother plants, and these mother plants will be then sent to nurseries for quarantine, and all domestic and imported plant material intended for commercial use will go there. And then we will have this infrastructure including nurseries where which will have efficient multiplication of the clean planting material. Mother plants obtained from CPCs will be multiplied, and then once the mother plant is multiplied and they are distributed, we see that how are their material, and then we have this regulatory and certification to see the traceability and production of this entire planting material. This is extremely important because we are the second most producer of horticulture products after China, and we were exporting around 1.15 billion dollars worth of exports, but we are imports were 2.73. So therefore we need to be self reliant in this particular domain as well. So because of all of this, this is an important development. Now another important news is this mega quake advisory. Now you should be aware of what is called as ring of fire. Now there is a major subsidence zone where one plate subsides into the other plate. I think the Pacific plate subsides into the Asian plate at this particular point in this entire region, whereby this entire region has a lot of volcanic activity as well as a lot of earthquake activity. Now recently there was a 7.1 magnitude earthquake, and it is being said that this Nankai Trough, where you have this subduction zone where the Eurasian plate collides with the Philippine plains, pushing the Philippine plains plate in the latter under the former, and this leads to major earthquakes. And usually these earthquake comes in groupings, and there is a very high probability of a very big earthquake coming in the next 30 years. We cannot predict any earthquake, but it will be around 7 8 to 9 mega this thing on the Richter scale, and it could send a huge tsunami wave up to 98 feet, which can destroy a lot of Japan, and cover more than one third of its entire area. So this is an important news. Then you must be aware that astronaut Sunita William and Butch Wilmore will now be staying in the ISS till February 2025 because of the fact that there are technical glitches that have been there in the Boeing spacecraft, and but the issue is whether the International Space Station can accommodate it or not. So you can read this news just for fun. In the sense that what is ISS, how long you can stay in ISS, and what happens to your body once you stay too many months in the outer space. And one of the last news that we need to cover is with respect to provision of to skip local trials for certain drugs. Now the drug controller of India, now you should also note that there's a body called Drug Controller General of India, and there is also an act which is called as Drug and Other Substances. I'm forgetting the name of the act, which deals with all these drugs. Now it has basically formalized a pathway for allowing new drugs to gain approval without any local trials in India. Now, this exemption basically applies to medicines for rare diseases, for gene therapies, for any drugs that are needed in pandemic, for drugs which are needed for armed forces, and also for cutting edge treatments and therapeutic treatments. Now, the local this thing will be approved only if these drugs have been approved by international regulators. So only if international regulators have approved this, then they are eligible for this. The benefit is that these local trials basically involve a lot of money. These pharmaceutical companies have to incur, and if they don't have to do these local trials, then these benefits will pass on to the consumer. So that is the benefit that is there, and then you have expedited availability that is available in the country. Now, again, the expected accelerated drugs are weight loss drugs. You should be aware of semaglutide, and we have already talked about these vaccines, these particular drugs which are for weight reduction. These are already coming to picture. Then you have others with respect to Alzheimer's and cancer therapies as well. Now, these are issues, but there are certain concerns as well, that we need to have a case by case review of this, and the companies must take a phase 4 trial, where companies must undertake identify any adverse events that are not detected in other areas, so other trials. So you can read this news. And then, with respect to the last part, we've already talked about fund named by Hindenburg, part of the structure used by two overseas funds probed by SEBI. One of them has changed their name. Where is this? There is this. In any case, read about these. Yes, GDOF is this particular company which basically has invested, and they say that this couple basically says that they invested in GDOF because their CTO was their one of their friends, and once the CTO left, they also basically withdrew money from that particular entity. And this Global Dynamic Opportunities Fund, which is based out of Singapore, had in turn invested in IPE Plus fund, which is in Mauritius, and this fund is linked to Vinod Adani, and how Vinod Adani basically and they invested in the Adani group of industries. So this is the entire thing. You can read about this particular news, and then do this. Now, this is an important article that I had discussed, that I had sent you yesterday. This is that particular article, that this there was this contractual employees of Quality Council of India. Now, Quality Council of India had hired these contractual workers to give patents, and they had give mass patents without going into without going into the details of that. And now the Department of Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade had basically asked all these patents to be recalled. And there's also a case with respect to this, that can a quasi judicial body, I mean actually all these patent has to be given by the director, the Controller General, the Office of Controller General of Patents, the Patents, Designs and Trademarks. This particular body, can it actually delegate quasi judicial functions to contractual employees, and then give these wholesale patents. Now this has been a question. This was, by the way, this entire thing was started with Prime Minister's Advisory Council, and all of this, because of this issue had come to light, and the Calcutta High Court had also ruled that the hiring of contractual employees for quasi judicial functions was not appropriate. So this entire issue is in news. Read about this entire issue, and if you want to read EV makers oppose UP hybrid registration waiver, rollback of scheme unlikely, you can read that. So with this, our entire thing is over. Let's meet tomorrow and discuss more news with respect to what has happened today. All right. Thank you very much, folks. I will see you